Say someone's name, what they did wrong, and one snap of the finger,
Harvey Weinstein, a man used to walking red carpets, now in handcuffs.
they're gone. It began as this needed thing.
More than 70 women have come forward with allegations against Harvey Weinstein, ranging from rape to sexual harassment.
Harvey Weinstein, 80 accusers, finally finished.
Once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, tonight Weinstein is now behind bars. He faces up to 29 years in prison.
Bill Cosby, 60 accusers, finally finished.
He was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand, who told the judge, quote,
Bill Cosby took my beautiful, healthy young spirit and crushed it.
But what happens when it's not 80 accusers, it's not 60 accusers, it's just one?
Actress Amber Heard has accused Johnny Depp of assault, causing this bruising to her face.
Johnny Depp was loved by the public but gets accused by his ex-wife Amber Heard, and like that, it's over. Disney fires him from Pirates of the Caribbean.
And we forget the name.
Warner fires him from Fantastic Beast. One accusation in his career, like so many others, is finished. But there's only one difference. The people wanted him back. And this is how Johnny Depp won. Hollywood is rightfully a scary place for women and young men. Look back at a Nickelodeon show you watched as a kid, and see a show you loved as a kid is now filled with creepy feet jokes that Dan Schneider made while abusing child actors. Look at stuff that came out almost 100 years ago like Wizard of Oz, which seems like wholesome magic, but turns out to be Judy Garland getting abused by producers off set at the age of 16. Even someone like Brendan Fraser, who's this tall, 6'3" man, is assaulted by Philip Burke, the head of the Golden Globes, and afraid to talk about it for years. There was for generations a history of abuse in Hollywood that nobody was addressing. There was this attitude that to get rich and famous, you have to pay the price when the camera's off with someone who is a producer or someone powerful on set. It was just a fact at the time. But one day, everything changes, and it started off with a hashtag on MySpace. Tarana Burke started the hashtag MeToo in 2006. And it didn't go extremely far at first, but did lead to some impact long term. Where in 2017, Alyssa Milano comes out against Harvey Weinstein on Twitter with the hashtag MeToo, saying what happened to her with Harvey Weinstein. And in a period of 6 to 12 months, one accuser using the hashtag MeToo turned into 80 accusers against Harvey Weinstein. Everyone from assistants to major names such as Gwyneth Paltrow and Kate Beckinsale, all saying they had abuse from Harvey Weinstein. They come, Harvey Weinstein denies everything very poorly, and his career gets ruined. And after decades of people getting away with stuff like what Harvey Weinstein was doing, justice finally happens. And for a while, justice kept on happening. Bill Cosby was an open secret for decades. He gets accused by victims formally coming out to the media. He loses his legacy, loses his comeback, and ends up in jail. And Kevin Spacey had accusers where 4 of them finally came out. And for a change, it doesn't get skirted under the rug. Netflix fires Kevin Spacey from House of Cards, dooming the legacy of their most popular show they put $500 million into because of the accusations. Sony spent an additional $10 million to cut Spacey out of the movie All the Money in the World, to reshoot the film with Christopher Plummer, and all of this over the power of the MeToo hashtag. Justice was finally happening, but the question became, was justice going too far? And that big moment where people complained was really Louis C.K., where 5 women who work with him came out saying that he enjoyed himself in front of them but did ask for permission. And all of them said he did ask permission beforehand, but they did assume it was a joke. And Louis C.K. admitted to doing it, admitted what he did was wrong, but unlike before, some people in the public were supporting Louis C.K. And he lost $35 million in work getting his movie and show canceled, and like that, his career was done. And this was the first time it was debated if it was okay to ruin someone's life over the accusations, making the question of how far we can really go. And other debates began happening. Aziz Ansari had a former date publish an anonymous article saying she had a bad time going out with him, but everything was consensual. And she even said he never did anything that would be considered illegal or wrong, just that he was kinda gross and a little bit creepy. But because of that letter, during the climate we were in, he's publicly humiliated and gets his career frozen. And then there was John Lasseter, the creator of Toy Story. He gets the accusation of hugging people too much, and 2 women reported him to the company. And he ends up getting a 3-month suspension from Disney from it, and after 20 years, his reputation gets tainted. And it even went to the US government and passed Just Hollywood. Al Franken was a US senator who had issues with a backstage kiss when he was on SNL. And even though it was a joke, because of the climate, he was forced to resign from the US Senate. So what started out as a movement to clean out Hollywood business and government from abuse became a madhouse, where it felt people can accuse whoever they want, and like that, their career was over. And the man who became the biggest name in the public from this was Johnny Depp.
when you're asked to resign from a film you're doing because of something that is merely a bunch of kind of vowels and consonants floating in the air.
There's the reality of open secrets in Hollywood. Bryan Singer, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. All these people have horrible truths and rumors to them, but nobody acts. Before O.J. Simpson killed Nicole, he had numerous violence cases against him, and charges for years, but nobody did anything. But Johnny Depp, though, had nothing against him. A clean history where he's worked with women for years, had numerous relationships with high-profile celebrities, and not one accusation or claim against him. He was loved.
Hello. And your name is Madison. Can you prove it?
So randomly, in divorce, Amber Heard accused Johnny Depp of abuse. Shows images of bruises and makes claims, but this wasn't supported by history. And what Johnny Depp had going for him was what nobody else did, and that was women. Where normally an actor gets accused and many other women come out against him saying the same thing happened to them. And Johnny Depp had a lot of stories from women come out about him, but in this case, they were good. His ex-girlfriend Winona Ryder comes out saying he's a saint and she'd witness for him. Vanessa Paradis, who's the mother of his kids, said he would never hurt anyone. And Helena Bonham Carter, who he's done 9 movies with, comes out praising him. Even Lori-Ann Ellison, who is Depp's first ex-wife, comes out praising him, saying he would never be violent towards anyone. And she did make the claim that Amber Heard was lying about Johnny Depp. So what Johnny Depp had going for him was all these women the public knows much more than Amber Heard coming out for him. So after the Johnny Depp accusations first happened, the public was waiting for a storm to go against him, but it just didn't happen. But at the end of the day, there was still one accuser left, and that was Amber Heard.
It has been incredibly painful to relive the breakup of my relationship, to have my motives, my truth questioned, and the most traumatic and intimate details of my life with Johnny shared in court and broadcast to the entire world.
Amber Heard to the public before Johnny Depp was ultimately a stranger. She did the Playboy Club, which only lasted for 3 episodes, and she had some low-level movies but was seen ultimately as a B or C-list actress. And what cost Amber Heard her image to the public ultimately comes down to 3 nails in the coffin. And the first nail was her ex-wife, Tassia Von Ree. Where Amber Heard, before marrying Johnny Depp from 2008 to 2012, was married to Tassia Von Ree. And the marriage had many issues, the most notable being an arrest that happened in 2009, where Amber Heard and Tassia Von Ree were fighting at an airport until airport security broke them up, where Amber Heard punched her wife and from that arrested her.
And Amber then grabbed her arm, hit her arm, broke her pendant, and she got arrested for domestic violence.
And she took the arrest only to call airport security homophobic later on.
Furthermore, she's made some remarks about the police. Said that there was a hint of homophobia. No, hint of misogyny and they were homophobic.
What she didn't know was the woman who arrested her at the airport was a lesbian.
Miss Heard was aggressive towards her traveling companion.
And Amber Heard doing this showed the public a history of abuse, which made the path where people could start to believe the idea Amber Heard started the fights and not Johnny Depp. And when it came to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, the only one who on record did punch a woman was in fact Amber Heard. And that was one nail. The second nail involves $7 million, where Amber Heard wasn't to get $1 in the divorce with Johnny Depp until the claims of abuse started coming up. And Johnny Depp, to save his career, had Amber Heard sign an NDA in the divorce, and in return she'd get $7 million, which did have the public raising their eyebrows on Amber Heard, wondering if she did make the abuse claims just for the money. And Amber Heard retaliated to that complaint, saying she donated every cent. And when this happened, Amber Heard was praised by the public, getting made a UN ambassador on domestic violence and was treated as a hero. And she keeps her job in Aquaman and continues to land work in Hollywood. But the problem was she just didn't donate the money. Where she gets her new boyfriend Elon Musk to donate $1 million and begins fundraising for the charity she claimed to give money to. But for herself, she put little to no money in. And the charities don't call her out because she was fundraising and didn't want to get involved in Heard versus Depp. But when Johnny Depp busted Amber Heard on this 5-year donation lie, it all goes up in flames for her, where the public begins to see her as a liar. And those were 2 nails in the coffin, but nothing compares to the tape, where Johnny Depp revealed the tape to the public talking to Amber Heard about her hitting him. And there she does accuse Johnny Depp, but ruins everything for herself in one line. Because while Johnny Depp never admitted to abuse in that call, Amber Heard did. Where on tape, she admits to hitting Johnny Depp, but claims that nobody would believe him because he was a man.
But I was hitting you. I was not punching you.
And that was the final nail in the coffin the public needed. Where for a while there was this criticism of Me Too and the power of being able to accuse anyone. And the people who were against it finally got their ammo, seeing Johnny Depp, one of the biggest stars in the world, being told that nobody would believe him. So at this point, Amber Heard lost before the trial even began. She had a history of abuse in her previous relationships, which Johnny Depp didn't have with his. She did lie to the public about the donations, and there were the financial records to prove it. And with that tape, she poured gasoline on the fire that every skeptic of the Me Too movement had. And at this point, before any litigation or anything like that, Johnny Depp became loved and Amber Heard was hated by the public. And this video isn't about the trial. It's about how Johnny Depp, before ever sitting in a courtroom, had multiple factors going for him. And the craziest thing is it had little to do with Johnny Depp himself. Because as a person, Johnny Depp isn't perfect. It is a fact he does drink a lot.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you
He did put himself millions into debt due to poor financial decisions, and undeniably there were some abuse issues with the marriage that weren't entirely Amber Heard's fault. But with the climate that was going on in the country at the time, as well as Amber Heard having a likability factor, Johnny Depp was able to win. But the only real question is, does his career fully recover? And I don't think the answer to this is black or white, but ultimately I think it's gray, where it's unlikely Johnny Depp will ever return to Pirates of the Caribbean and get Disney to pay him $25 million again. And it's also unlikely that at nearly 60 years old he's going to get the types of roles people know him for. But he's going to get cast in the future, where Dior did keep him on as one of the faces of their colognes during the trial and they made millions from it. And any studio that does hire him likely will have that moment and get sales from it. And for Amber Heard, there definitely is a public exile with her, where she's not involved in the marketing for Aquaman 2. She has no movies or TV shows booked up for her. And for her career, there definitely does look like a black or white, and in this case, it feels black. But having covered this story for years, I hope other women don't look at Amber Heard and think this is how their story has to be. There are many cases, such as Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, where justice did happen. And even though some people might not want to believe them because of the Amber Heard case, at the end of the day, this will just be a blip in history. And with that, I'm Charles Perallo. Subscribe if you learned something.